Save big during Labor Day at Lowe's. Get up to 40% off select major appliances. Plus, buy more to get up to an additional 20% off. Shop even more savings with 3 Stay Green 1 cubic foot vegetable and flower garden soil bags for $10. This Labor Day, take care of your home for less at Lowe's. We help, you save. Valid through 9/3. Soil offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Selection varies by location. Select locations only. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
This is Sunbelt Commissioner Keith Gill, and I listen to the Funbelt Podcast.
This is the Funbelt Podcast, part of the Believe Network.
Folks, to Dusty Thibodeau of Warhawk Report, Jeremy Harper of Howlraiser, and Shane Metlin of the Daily News Record.
I think it's potentially a very good week for the Sunbelt.
But I'm just kind of going off on a random rant. It's just frustrating.
Gentlemen, week one's over. Like the atomic cloud has dissipated into the sky. The radiation is falling upon the land, and there are two types of Sunbelt teams, Shane Metlin. There are the teams that are 1-0, and then there are the teams that are 0-1. A distinct line between the two. And it started off with some victories starting on Thursday night with the Sunbelt picking up their first win. Warhawks under Bryant Vincent and Armenta behind center, getting it done against St. Frank. Tibbs, what was your thoughts on that game? I really want to know, because there was
played St. Francis, by the way.
St. Frank's. I'm Catholic, so I can shorten it that way.
Oh, okay. The red flash. I'll tell you, there was a lot of flashes. The game was delayed about 2 hours due to lightning in the area. And then it was very much a rush job to get the game going. Like, so much so that they were sitting down for a second pregame meal, and all of a sudden the windows opened up to where they could go play. And it was a hurry up. All right, let's go stretch. And it showed. I mean, there were 7 points in that first quarter, and that was it. Just very sluggish coming out of the gate. I think the biggest concern that I have out of that game, so many drop balls, Jeremy. So many drop balls, offensively and defensively.
Yeah, also you have to worry about those. I know you probably, in the back of your mind, you don't worry about it because it is against St. Francis. It is the first game of the year. But 2 blocked extra points. That was kind of crazy. I don't think I've ever seen that, Tibbs.
Oh, I have.
Well, you're a Warhawk, man, of course.
Yeah, that's a UL most moment. But no, that's our backup kicker. Still working out some kinks, though, on the snap. And so it was the comedy of errors of what happened there.
Okay. Well, a win is a win. You get the shutout. That's always good. But
First one in 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, you got to take that. You got a big opponent next week. We'll talk about that on Wednesday. But Shane Metlin, a pretty good game happened the next night against Appalachian State in Charlotte. And I think this was a real good moment for Dow Loggins. Comes into Appalachian State, that old program with all the expectations. He's brand new. Everybody likes him, but hey, he's still the new coach. Brings in a lot of new guys, including a new quarterback. And it looked pretty good for Appalachian State.
It did. I mean, I was going to come in here and say you guys need to change my soundbite on the intro because it was not a good week for the Sun Belt, but it was a good week for Appalachian State.
It was a good week.
Yeah, they got it done. They took care of business against a team from the American. Charlotte, which is not the cream of the crop in the American. They struggled, but I thought they might come out a little better with their new coach. And App just handled them. Looked really good at quarterback. Like I mentioned in our last show too, like great move getting that game played at the Panther Stadium, like turning it into a home game for App State. And that was a great move. I think that worked out really well for Mountaineers. And yeah, they're one of the few teams in the conference that I think probably feels better this week than they did last week, maybe.
Yeah, sure. Because it looks like, you don't know what kind of team you've got. And what you have is a quarterback at A.J. Swan that throws for 368 yards and 3 touchdowns. You got a defense that limits the 49ers to 3 points for 3 quarters before they miraculously come up with 8 in the fourth. I mean, yeah, you feel like you got that total package again in Boone, which must be nice if you're a Appalachian State fan. All right, you know what's something else that doesn't happen in the Sun Belt? This is a rule. This is the law of the Sun Belt. The Sun Belt does not lose to the FCS. And once again, even though this wasn't a great week for the Sun Belt did not lose to the FCS. Everybody took care of their business. JMU took care of business against Weber State. Arkansas State took care of business against SEMO. I'm trying to think of who else took care of some business. Morgan State fell to South Alabama, even though South Alabama made it look hard at times. And then Troy, we were talking about this a little bit with Tibbs, and I were talking a little bit about this offline. Tibbs thought it was a really good win against Nichols, Troy versus Nichols. Nichols had that big upset victory over Incarnate Word, ranked number 4 in the FCS. We knew it was going to be a tough game. Troy struggled at first, but then kind of came away with it. Tibbs, did you see any of that game? Did you see how that worked out?
I did, because I took the 24 points. Did you say Tibbs or did you say Shane?
I said Tibbs, but there's a barking dog, so that might have confused some things. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that is Shane's love language. I mean, Nichols was leading the game until late in the fourth quarter. And I think that's when Nichols started trying to not lose the game instead of winning the game. I think that was the real difference, because you look at it, they were able to put up 21 points there in the last 8 minutes of the game. Troy was to seal the victory. It was a good overall performance. Definitely ugly, though, through 3 quarters before Troy was able to really turn it on there. The Goose was loose, 3 touchdowns, 144 yards passing, rushed for another touchdown, so it accounted for 4 touchdowns there in the game. Tay Meadows, 186 yards.
That's just massive. I was looking at that and just my jaw dropped. 8 yards per carry. Just a great night for him. And guys, one thing that I don't feel like we need to talk about every game individually, because it would just take up too much of our time. But I will say this, Shane. I want this from you, Shane. I want this from Tibbs, too, and I'll give mine. What was the most disappointing game of week 1 for the Sun Belt?
I think we kind of agree on this, that it was probably Georgia Southern at Fresno State. It's the fact that was a blowout, I think, is the most disappointing thing. I mean, I really thought they had a good shot to win that game.
Yeah.
Fresno State didn't look that impressive in their opener. Maybe they worked some things out, though, with the week 0 game. They had one under their belt. Maybe that helps. Obviously, we know what the travel out west can do. But I thought Georgia Southern was going to win. And at the very least, I thought it was going to be a very competitive game between a good Sun Belt team and a Mountain West team. And we just didn't get that in the second half from the Eagles. And that was the most disappointing thing to me, is that, the team we had some high expectations for loses a game against a peer conference that, eventually we're going to start comparing these leagues and talking about playoffs, and that doesn't help.
No, that doesn't help at all. And, it looked like to me, I watched the second half, and at the time, I think at halftime, Georgia Southern was winning that game, right? By a couple points or whatever. And it looked like the jet lag just must have hit them at halftime. Suddenly the defense was slow and sluggish. JC French was unable to get anything going on down the field. It was just a depressing game to watch. And Tibbs, I think you'd have to admit, too, when you lose to a Mountain West team like that in such grisly, disgusting fashion, it just doesn't look good for the league at all.
It doesn't. And, the worst part about it is they're staying out there because they play at USC this week. So they didn't even get to come home and sleep in their own beds this week. They got to stay out there in the funky time zone and keep trying to practice and grind through it to, get ready for another probably not friendly victory.
They'll probably spend some time in wine country, then come down to Los Angeles and maybe do the Hollywood Walk of Fame. They're going to have a good time down there in California, I think. Tibbs, don't mention Fresno, Georgia Southern. Forget that game. What was the most disappointing game?
I'm going to go with the most disappointing game, honestly. Southern Miss falling to Mississippi State.
Yeah.
We had such high expectations that this was going to be the Huff Shuffle all over the in-state Bulldogs who have seen them struggle. This is the Marshall team that won the Sun Belt Conference Championship by and large. Yeah. Braylon Braxton and all his crew there just not really able to get it done, not able to overcome mistakes, not able to really move the ball efficiently and come away with the homestanding win.
Yeah, they look good. Southern Miss looked good that first half. I think down 13-10 maybe at halftime. I can't remember exactly how that shook out, but it looked like Southern Miss could hold their own at home in Hattiesburg with an SEC opponent. Then things just go completely sideways. I think like the social media guys from Southern Miss kind of said, well, this was about, the depth of Mississippi State. This was about the size of Mississippi State. It was too much to overcome. I don't know. I think there just might have been a little bit of newness with Charlie Huff, with all these guys coming together. They had a great first half, a good game plan. They just couldn't sustain. Shane Metlin, you got any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have been my choice as like the second most disappointing. I don't think I don't think, almost any time, there may be some exceptions, but almost any time like a Sun Belt team loses to the SEC, nobody's really batting an eye, like outside of, those of us on shows like this. And we didn't know exactly what to expect in the first game from Southern Miss. I think the whole they're the defending champs because of the guys who transferred from Marshall, I think is a little overblown. Like
maybe
it helps that they brought some guys from Marshall
sure.
to make that transition with the coaching staff. But, there's a lot of really good players from Marshall that are, off playing either in the pros or somewhere else right now too. I don't know. This one was not as disappointing to me. I thought Southern Miss might have a shot to win this one, but we really didn't know exactly what to expect in Huff's first game in a new location.
It is disappointing to me in that it was played at Hattiesburg. And so you have that sort of rare opportunity to be at your very best in front of your home fans. And that just didn't work out. I think for me, the most disappointing game, there are a lot of fans who actually took some sort of weird pleasure in this. I won't say who, but the weird score loss to Rice that the Cajuns had at their newly refurbished digs with their new quarterback and Walker Howard.
Confronting high credit card debt can feel scary. But the good news is if you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt, financial relief options are now available. National Debt Relief is currently offering debt relief designed to reduce what you owe, fast-tracking your way to being debt-free. If you qualify for debt relief, you may be able to pay back significantly less than what you owe and save thousands of dollars. Imagine only paying one low monthly program payment you can afford and saving money as you become debt-free. National Debt Relief has already helped bring debt relief to over 550,000 U.S. consumers, earning thousands of five-star reviews and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. You're stronger than your credit card debt. Take the first step and visit nationaldebtrelief.com to see what debt relief you qualify for. That's nationaldebtrelief.com.
And with all the expectations of being the best team in the West, really laid a crap potato on newly refurbished Cajun fields. Tibbs, what happened?
I think Rice just kind of owns Lafayette right now. And so much so that even on the Sunday following the game, the women's soccer team for Rice beat Louisiana Lafayette as well.
I noticed that. Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I mean, look, say what you will about the offense, but this Cajun defense is supposed to be what really carries this team and is supposed to be the legit part. And even they didn't really look all that great. They did manage to contain the Rice offense, but that offense was just god awful.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think everybody expected a little bit more from Walker Howard. I think he had 88 yards and a pick. That's not something that I don't think the Cajun fans were really expecting to have happen. Shane, did you see any of this?
I didn't get a chance to watch much of it. I saw some highlights. I feel like if your defense holds a team to 14 points, you're doing your job to give your offense a chance to win, and they just didn't get it done. And this was my close second as far as like the most disappointing game across the conference because, for a reason you mentioned, you said it was disappointing that Southern Miss loses in Hattiesburg. It's really disappointing for Louisiana to not beat a middle of the road American team at home when you're basically opening up a brand new stadium. It should have been electric. It should have been a lot of excitement. You should have gotten a jolt from that, maybe to help your offense a little bit. Like we heard about how good Walker Howard was going to be, and we just didn't see it this time. I'm not going to judge him completely on one game, but this one was a disappointment because once again, it was an opportunity for a Sun Belt team that we had high expectations for to make a statement for the league against the peer conference you're competing for that playoff spot against, and it didn't happen.
Is Walker Howard the Arch Manning of the Sun Belt?
I mean, so far after 1 week, yes, but I mean, is Arch Manning the Arch Manning of the Arch Mannings? I mean,
oh man, you just opened up a black hole.
I know, but I'll say this as the unpopular opinion. I don't think Arch Manning's that great. He played at a small school in Louisiana where Shane was probably the best defender he had to face.
That kid gets paid $7 million a year in NIL money. That's crazy. How come this kid's making so much cash? All right. Hey, this isn't the Arch Manning show. We can go back to the Sun Belt and what they did well and what they didn't. We had some fairly blowout scores against FCS opponents that we needed to see. JMU seemed to be working on all cylinders. Alonzo Barnett back in the saddle. The run game looking really good. Shane, just briefly, how did JMU look against Weber State?
Yeah, I mean, that was just about what you wanted out of that game. I mean, it was a little bit of a lull third quarter. The offense didn't do a ton coming out of the break at halftime. Then they put up some points in the fourth quarter to make it look like a big blowout. And yeah, I mean, you saw from Barnett, you saw him run the ball, you saw him take some hits and hold up fine, which I think is, perfect for a debut. He didn't get beat up, but he was put to the test a little bit. And for JMU, that was just about the opener you want. They didn't show a ton before they go play Louisville next week. So, yeah.
Yep. Arkansas State, also kind of the same boat. Opened the game with a 75-yard scoring drive and then immediately allowed a 75-yard scoring drive to the Redhawks. And that was probably the moment where Jeremy Harper, citizen of Arkansas State, really began the panic. I mean, I was about to check myself into a European wellness clinic. That's how shot my nerves were. Oh my God, Arkansas State's defense is going to be the worst. And for a while there, it didn't really improve. And then it really did start picking up, start just putting out the 3 and outs. It was a good game for Jalen Rayner, 3 touchdowns for him. The run game also had 3 touchdowns. So it was good. It was a good game for Arkansas State. South Alabama and Troy, we talked a little bit about Troy beforehand. They both had sluggish starts to their FCS foes, but ended up pulling it out. What about Coastal Carolina, guys? I'm going to be honest. I kind of thought Coastal Carolina was going to do not pretty good, but they were going to be all right against a Virginia team that isn't regarded as a very good team right now. 7 points, not much going on. People in Coastal Carolina probably panicking a little bit, Shane Metlin.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this to me didn't kind of make that disappointing list that we talked about earlier, just because like I didn't have as high of expectations for Coastal.
We didn't know anything about them, right? We're just like, well, what can we expect?
UVA, I mean, there was hope from UVA fans that maybe they added some talent and would be better this year. I don't think they're going to compete for an ACC championship necessarily. So you would have liked to have seen Coastal keep this one respectable.
Yeah.
It was an ugly score. The offense didn't do much, which I think is the biggest concern for Coastal, because you supposedly made some changes to your coaching staff in the offseason to fix that, and it didn't show in week one.
Yeah, MJ Morse, the new quarterback for Coastal Carolina, only 163 yards, no scores, and a pick. That's pretty gross. The run game couldn't quite crack 100 yards. That's just not going to cut it for Coastal Carolina. It was probably. Oh, okay.
But Jeremy,
all right.
Coastal's defense only allowed 7 points on their 3 turnovers that they had. So I think once again we're kind of overshadowing just maybe a hair of what that Coastal defense is really capable of.
Okay, all right. That, you know what? Leave it to Tibbs to find the silver lining on that. Yeah, speaking of Tibbs, we were talking, what was the most impressive victory? And I thought the most impressive victory was Appalachian State over Charlotte. But I think maybe the second most impressive victory had to be Texas State's drumming, especially in the second half of Eastern Michigan. And I had to do a little mea culpa online. I had to admit, I had picked Eastern Michigan. I thought it was going to be an upset. Boy, was I wrong, Shane Metlin.
I was beginning to wonder if we'd like unofficially boycotted talking about the Texas State game because of the Pac-12 drone show or something like that. Like, no, I thought that was, right up there. Maybe even the winner for the most impressive win, because they just really took it to Eastern Michigan. Yeah, they looked legit, and when we see what happened with Louisiana. Maybe these Bobcats have a chance to do some damage on the way out the door in the West.
Yeah, absolutely. Brad Jackson, kind of a bit of an unknown, didn't have much of a track record at quarterback. He throws 4 touchdowns. He didn't throw for a lot of yards, 214 yards, 18 for 26, but a very efficient outing. A really good night for Lincoln Perry, the old Red Wolves. He's Lincoln Perry, I think is how it's pronounced. 167 yards and a touchdown. It looks like an offense that I don't know, that could be really dangerous. Bo Sparks, their amazing wide receiver, 82 yards, 4 touchdowns on those 84 yards. That's pretty incredible. Hey, Tibbs, is Texas State, do I just need to stop pretending like maybe they're going to struggle? Are they actually going to be really good all year long?
Here's the key stat that I think kind of slides through. Texas State had 606 yards of offense and then surrendered nearly 400 yards of offense. I think they are literally going to beat teams they play. It's not going to necessarily be a pretty game, but it's going to be a lot of fun to watch all offense all the time.
Well, that used to be the Sun Belt, style of play. All gas and no brakes, right? So maybe the Bobcats have embraced that. But anyway, great win for G.J. Kinney. Got hats off to the Texas State Bobcats. The Boobcats no longer, at least for week 1. Shane Metlin, do you have a parting observation before we put this week 1 to bed?
Just that I hope we see a little more balance week 2, like around the league. Hope we see some of these teams. It's going to be tough, obviously, for Georgia Southern to really bounce back when they are playing this kind of murderer's row of West Coast teams. Like, they got to stay out there. That's going to be a tough situation. But I hope we see better from Louisiana quickly. I hope, that, Troy, like I was disappointed in Troy. I'll be honest. Like they ended up making it look like a relatively easy win, but that was a tough one for them after it seemed like they gained some momentum at the end of last year. I'm not sure if they carried it over into the start of this year, which is a little disappointing. So you'd like to see them fix some of the problems they had week one. Yeah, so that's kind of my takeaway is that you just want to see some of these teams that we're talking about being disappointed in show something a little bit more next time we see them.
Yeah, and from what I understand, I haven't done a big deep dive yet. I haven't done my Sunbelt Heat article yet. But from what I understand, the only team for the Sunbelt in week 2 that's favored by Vegas to win is Marshall, who just got drummed by Georgia. So I think they get Missouri State, which did not have a good debut. But yeah, so it doesn't seem like anything gets easier. Tibbs, is there an observation you made that you would like to spring on us?
Georgia State needs to up their NIL payments since they have players that are taking jewelry from opposing teams.
Yeah. Yes, explain this video that you posted.
I don't know if it was pregame or what for the walkthrough where there was a player from Georgia State, a former Auburn receiver, that decided that the gold chain that the Ole Miss player was wearing was very, very fine, very, very beautiful, and something that he should add to his collection. So he reached up and took it, then ran away and chunked it into the stands.
Oh, God. Wow. Why? Now, was anybody getting in any trouble for this? Do you know anything else about it?
That's all I know is the video I've seen, and that he apparently had no playtime during the game. So I don't know if he was suspended with pay or what exactly happened there.
With pay. Oh my God. We did say when we were doing our second and short, I thought that this game, we knew that they weren't going to beat Ole Miss, not Del McGee's year 2 team. We knew that Del McGee had recruited pretty well and that he had, a lot of good potential weapons there. I said this game wasn't a game where we're going to see a victory from Georgia State, but it could be a game where we see something from Georgia State. And I don't think we did. Shane, did we see anything from Georgia State in that game? Anything that would make you go, hey, there's something there?
Not really. And I don't know, we're joking about this and it is funny, but that's a terrible way to start your season before things even get started, is you've got this happening out there on the field before the game even begins. And it, you get 105 guys that are 18 to 23 or whatever on a team, and somebody's going to do something stupid along the way. You have them out there beating on each other, the testosterone flowing, stupid things are going to happen with a college football team, but that's a terrible timing for it to happen. It's terrible look. It's just not how you want things to start. If you're Del McGee, it sounded like he was pretty upset about seeing this happen. And I don't know, you kind of got to put it behind you and hope that everybody else on that team realizes you can't, you can try to be tough. You can try to do whatever it's trying to do to make a statement, but that's not the way to go about it. And it ended up hurting their team, I think, because it just was not the kind of effort we really thought we might see from them.
Yeah, you're kind of right. You know what it reminds me, Tibbs? It reminds me of the incident where the Georgia Southern kid gets on top of the bus and chugs a beer. And it was kind of funny. Everybody kind of laughed and go, oh, that kid, that's wacky. But what that shows is that there's not discipline on the team. It shows that the team is not 1,000% focused on the job that they're supposed to do, and that's to play football. And when you have some kid just, goofing off and throwing somebody's jewelry out into the stands, that shows that hurts the team-wide. That makes it look just like Del McGee does not have his thumb on that locker room. Would you agree with that?
Sort of, but I don't know if there's some kind of history between the two players, that it was more of a personal thing than a Georgia State Ole Miss type of thing. I think as we learn a little bit more, maybe we'll be able to make that kind of conclusion of, hey, maybe he doesn't have control of the locker room, or he does, and it's just an isolated incident. So time will tell.
I think there was maybe one thing that one sliver of hope that the Panthers could take away from that Ole Miss drumming. Georgia State did put up 192 rush yards against Ole Miss, and that was something that Georgia State was talking about in the preseason, how well their running back room looked, and they didn't have any guys that like totally dominated. Rashad Amos had 68 yards, TJ Payton had 55 yards, and then a bunch of other guys chipped in. But 192 ground yards against Ole Miss isn't that bad. So maybe that Georgia State ground game is that sliver of hope that the Panther fans can grab onto. So one thing that I saw that I thought was kind of cute, something from the Arkansas State Southeast Missouri State game. It was the end of the game, and this is just sort of almost like a kind of I don't know, sign of the times. At the end of the game, I saw two players, a Red Hawk and a Red Wolf. They were down, apart from everybody, just sort of hanging out, just talking to each other. And I looked to see who it was, and the Red Hawk was Cam Pedro. And oh my God, I'm trying to figure out who the other guy was. Hang on, I'm going to figure it out. It's going to happen. Oh God, it's almost there. Oh, thank you, A.G. McGee. It was A.G. McGee from Arkansas State and Cam Pedro from Southeast Missouri, and they were both having this long sort of friendly conversation. It's because they had both come from Marshall. Cam Pedro had been there a couple years ago. A.G. McGee had just transferred last year from the team. So, you get a lot of cross-pollination now between teams, not simply, because, they played in high school together anymore, but sometimes they were college teammates, and they meet again, this time both on different teams. So it was kind of nice to see. It was kind of a warm, fuzzy moment, but it was also like, yeah, this is probably something that happens a lot now. Guys, any other observations?
None. I'm ready for week 2. Let's do it again.
All right. Week 2. I think we're getting together Wednesday, right, guys?
Yes.
Plan.
Okay, that's the plan. We'll get together Wednesday. We'll do the second. I'm not going to say the whole thing because I don't want to activate the gong too early, but we'll do that. We've got.
And with you doing the edit, maybe they'll see it in time for the championship game in December.
Are you busting on my edit time? Man, I busted that out pretty quick last time. Yeah, I'll get it out. Shane, you don't have any qualms against my editing, do you?
I didn't notice that it was super late.
Thank you, Shane. Thanks for backing me.
Thanks,
up.
Editor-in-Chief.
Guys, I think I'll see you on Wednesday, and be prepared.
Will do.
All right. What did you guys think? Is that all right?